The unhinged lore of Fenrir.
Alright, I'm trying out this voiceover thing for once in my life. So today we're going to be talking about Fenrir. And if you don't know who Fenrir is, he is essentially the spawn, so to speak, of Loki and the giantess named Angraboa. Angraboa? Hold on, let me check. Angraboda pronunciation. Oh, here we go. Okay, let's see what this guy has to say.
Angerboda. In English, it is normally said as Angerboda, or Angerboda. And now you know.
Okay. Now that we got that pronunciation out of the way, so Loki and Angraboda had 3 kids together. Most people, your kids, right? If you have kids, if you're planning to have kids, who knows? You want them to be an accountant, a doctor, you know, but not Loki's kids. So kid number 1 is gonna be Jormungandr, and that is the world snake. I covered him briefly. I kind of brushed up on him when I did a shorts about Thor. And then kid number 2 is gonna be Hel, a girl who is half living and kind of like a half corpse kind of deal there going on. And then kid number 3 is, well, Fenrir. So it's safe to say that Loki does not have the best genetics when it comes to kids, because I think the only one that even remotely looks like him is gonna be Hel. So Odin, naturally, he sees that these kids are going to be causing him some trouble at the family function. So what does he do? He kidnaps them. So Odin kidnaps Loki's children. Jormungandr, he's thrown in the ocean. Hel is banished to the underworld, and Fenrir is locked up in Asgard. Alright, I've been talking too much, haven't really gotten to the story, so let's get into it. So at first, Fenrir was just a normal dog, normal size, normal everything. But just like any normal dog, they grow. But Fenrir took that a little bit personal. Every single morning, the citizens of Asgard would wake up and check their lawns, realizing that Fenrir doubled in size overnight. And within weeks, he wasn't a dog anymore. He was a furry kaiju, so to speak. He was eating entire livestock populations, and the entire Norse pantheon panicked. Every god in Asgard locked their doors, turned off all their lights, and pretended they weren't home whenever Fenrir walked past. Except for one absolute Chad, Tyr. And while the rest of the gods were cowering, Tyr walked right up to the Walmart-sized demonic wolf with a bucket of meat. And Tyr was the only guy in Asgard with any kind of backbone. Eventually, Odin thought, hey, maybe keeping a creature that can swallow the sun in our backyard is probably a bad call. But since killing any animal inside the holy sanctuary of Asgard would violate every sacred rule of the divine real estate and PETA, they decided to trick Fenrir. So how did the gods trick Fenrir? They walked up to him with a massive heavy chain named Lading and essentially said to him, hey, let's see how strong you are. Fenrir let them wrap it around him. He stretched his legs and gave a tiny little flex and shattered the legendary iron chain. The gods panicked, ran back to the forge, and made a complete new but thicker chain named Daling and tried the exact same trick. But Fenrir snapped that one too.
Let me show you how to move, let me show you how to get that bad, you ain't never coming last. Fuck your man, you know this gon' make him mad. Break that back, then we make a film on cam. Shake that ass, baby, show them that you bad.
So at this point, raw physical strength just wasn't gonna cut it with Fenrir. So Odin sent a message down to the underworld, to some dwarves. Because let's be honest, if you guys want some industrial grade bondage gear, obviously you gotta call the dwarves. And the dwarves came up with a ribbon called Gleipnir. And when I say ribbon, I literally mean a ribbon, like something you would tie around a birthday present. It was thin, silky, and weighed literally nothing. Why? because the dwarves crafted it out of 6 completely fictional abstract concepts: the footfalls of a cat, the beard of a woman, the roots of a mountain, the breath of a fish, the sinews of a bear, and the spittle of a bird. Yeah, they literally sent a shopping list down to the dwarves and they gave them a ribbon. And all the gods thought, yeah, this is gonna hold Fenrir. They took Fenrir out to a desolate island, showed him the dainty little ribbon, and said, I bet you can't break this one. To which Fenrir replied,
excuse me bro, but what the fuck?
Safe to say Fenrir wasn't gonna touch the ribbon. Unless, he said, someone puts their hand in my mouth as collateral. And being the stud that he is, Tyr stepped up. He looked at Fenrir and how his jaw is lined with teeth the size of machetes and shoved his hand right down his throat. The other gods tied the silk ribbon around Fenrir. The wolf strained, he pushed, he flexed, and nothing. The impossible magic held tight. Fenrir realized he just got scammed by a bunch of gods using craft supplies, and he was so upset that he clamped his jaw shut right on Tyr's hand. Tyr's hand went flying, and Tyr, now missing a hand, looked at the wolf and muttered something probably ungodlike. So with Fenrir successfully tied up, the gods decided to secure him properly. They didn't just want to tie him to a tree. They dragged his anchor chain thousands of feet down through the crust of the earth and bolted it to a massive slab of stone. And just to make sure he couldn't complain about anything, they took a massive iron sword and jammed it vertically into his mouth. I am not going to insert the PETA meme I already did like 5 minutes ago, but you guys get the idea. For centuries, Fenrir was left down in the freezing dark, unable to close his mouth, unable to yell, just stuck there. And because his mouth was forced open, a thick, toxic river of drool poured out of his face 24/7. The Norse literally named this river Van, which translates to hope, which proves that the Vikings had a very cynical sense of humor when it comes to their own impending doom. Fast forward a few hundred years, and Fimbulwinter hits, and just like any Texas small town, society collapsed. During this Fimbulwinter, the earth has a massive temper tantrum. The ground shakes so hard that the magic ribbon snaps, the anchors break, and Fenrir is finally free. At this point of the story, it's now Ragnarok. Fenrir charges to Asgard with his lower jaw scraping the floor and his top jaw scraping the sky. He wants payback. And who does he find? Odin. But not only Odin, but one of his sons, Vidar. Vidar is wearing magical boots, and he steps on Fenrir's lower jaw and rips his top jaw away from his skull, killing him instantly. Fenrir didn't have the best life on Asgard, and who can blame him? He was ostracized, tricked, and trapped. He'd probably want to eat the universe too. But anyways, if you guys like this dive into Fenrir and don't mind watching me some more, please like the video and comment your favorite part. Also, don't forget to subscribe because I really like doing these videos for you guys, and I hope one day I can do this full time. Okay, see ya, bye!